What is going on, my broskiis? My name is Toadskii, back again, here to bring you guys yet another One Piece Treasure Cruise video. Now, I just uploaded a video talking about the Gear 4 Nami Sugo Fest. Super exciting news that we were expecting that was going to be coming sometime soon. We didn't actually know like an exact date when it was going to arrive, but now we know when it's arriving. Along with the news of the Sugo Fest, we also got some brand new news, just global first news, that Global will be receiving V2 Lucci 6+. Now that is some massively hype news because obviously this is a global first unit, JP don't have it, and personally for me, V2 Lucci is one of my favorite legends in the game. I've loved him ever since his release. I think he's a fantastic legend, and it is awesome that he's finally getting a 6+. So in this video, we're going to be discussing not only like V2 Lucci and what he might potentially upgrade to. I kind of want to go back and have a look at how this has actually come about and what we should expect moving forward with this actual V2 Lucci character. So first of all, let's go ahead and talk about the original quick V2 Lucci, the character that is receiving a 6+ variation. So we're over on the database right now. Obviously, if you want to see the database, the link to that will be in the description down below. But here we have Human Beast Lucci, World Government Monster. This is the character that is going to be receiving the 6+ in the upcoming Sugo Fest and is pullable in the upcoming Sugo Fest. Guaranteed, by the way, on the 5th multi on part number 1 of the Sugo. So this unit is a quick shooter powerhouse character. And he's got some pretty good stats, of course. He gets a limit break, of course, and his captain ability will boost the attack of Powerhouse by 2.5, so a base 2.5 and a base 1.2 HP boost, and he will also reduce the recovery of all characters by 50%. He then will further boost the attack of Powerhouse characters depending on how many perfects you hit in a row. So after the first perfect, it goes 2.75, then after another perfect, it goes to 3.025. After another perfect, 3.3, after another perfect, 3.66, and you keep hitting perfects until the last unit gets a 4.026 times multiplier to powerhouse characters. So that's a really good captain effect. As long as you are continuously hitting your perfects, you're going to be getting a really high multiplier. This works really well, especially with the Zunisha ship that came out, as the Zunisha ship not only makes it easier to hit perfects, but the ship itself is broken in the fact that it gives you 1.55 attack multiplier. It makes your perfects easy to hit, as we said, and also gives you 2 out of the 7 natural orbs as beneficial. So the Zunisha ship, when it came out, made V2 Lucci just insane, as well as some other characters that came out, like the Boa Sisters and Colosseum Neko. Just some crazy good characters that came out that really made V2 Lucci an extremely powerful unit to have on One Piece Treasure Cruise. And this character was available as a free legend selection character. I think it was around the 3rd anniversary. I think it might have been, maybe it might have been after that, maybe close to Luffy and Ace Sugo Fest. But this was pretty awesome, the fact that so many people already have access to this character. He had 2 crewmate abilities that you unlock through his limit break, boosting the attack of Powerhouse by 50 and resisting paralysis completely on his own character, which is quite nice. His special ability maxes at 14 turns, and it reduces the defense of all enemies by 80% for 2 turns. That is quite massive, and that might go into what his 6+ might actually be. Also deals 50 times his attack and typeless damage to all enemies, and changes all orbs on Powerhouse into matching, and recovers 20% of your max HP. So on a 14-turn cooldown, doing 4 pretty nice effects is just quite insane. Now, the fact that he does reduce defense by 80% for 2 turns, this was the reason why he works so well with the Boa Sisters, as with the Boa Sisters and V2 Lucci Captain, you get your 1.75 type boost, you get your conditional boost, and a full board of orbs. It's quite good. And I think that this might be improved upon in his 6+, but we'll talk about that once we get to that. He does AoE damage as well, which I think also will stay with his 6+. There's no real reason to get rid of that, and also changes all your orbs to matching on your certain class, and also recovers some HP. And it goes into a little bit more detail about his limit break in particular. Now, before we actually get into what I believe his 6+ is going to be, I want to go back a little bit and talk about some characters that came out in a very similar fashion to the Super Evolution of V2 Lucci. So as we know, V2 Lucci is going to be guaranteed in this Sugo Fest on the 5th multi. Another super evolved character that was a guaranteed unit was Trafalgar Law. Now, Trafalgar Law, this character was available on the Anniversary Sugo Fest for Global, and he is essentially the exact same character as the Striker version of Law. However, he does have some minor tweaks. So the pre-evolution of Law, the regular 6-star version, is a striker-based captain with a striker-based special ability. Now, when you actually super evolve him, he changes from a striker-based character to a cerebral-based character. So he actually maintains the same attack boost of 3 times attack, he gains that health boost, which this was not available on the original version, and that also stays the same as well, of recovering depending on how many perfects you hit. Now this actually does kind of change because he does get slightly higher recovery. It's not a very big recovery boost, but he actually technically does recover a little bit more HP than the regular Law. The only real change here is the fact that he is a Cerebral Captain, of course, and the HP boost. Those are the only two changes. Now, let's talk about his special, because his special actually did get quite a dramatic change. He reduces barriers by 1 turn. Now, the original version of this Law did not reduce barriers, and he does 200k fix to all enemies. The original version only did 300k to one enemy. And he was also going to maintain his Orb boost, 2.25 Orb boost, for his specific class. So we can see here that the unit that was guaranteed on this Sugo Fest, the Super Evolved character, it was essentially the same character, but for a different class with some minor additions. As we said, the health boost was the addition here. The fact that it's also a Cerebral unit, not a Striker unit. The fact that he reduces barriers, which is quite huge. Not too many characters actually do that. And they made him an AoE fixed damage dealer instead of a single target fixed damage dealer. So that is just one example of one character that has been guaranteed 6+ unit on these specific Sugo Fest. Now, one other character that has had the exact same treatment as these characters is the Psy Gear 4 Luffy. So this was the Super Evolved version of Time Skip Luffy. A lot of people were really excited when this character first came out. So, comparing him to his original version, most people already know the differences between these characters, but it's just to reiterate my point that I'm making here in this video. So this character, Quick Fighter Free Spirit, he is a Free Spirit Captain, 2.5, with some damage reduction. After you use his special for 3 turns, he'll be a 4 times Free Spirit lead. His special ability does a lot of single target damage, and he makes certain colored orbs beneficial to all your characters. So the changes that happened when you Super Evolved him into his Gear 4 form would be, obviously he gets some pretty significant stat increases. He's no longer a Free Spirit Captain, he was a Fighter 2.5 Captain and a 4 times Captain for 3 turns after you use his special ability. However, he does have some minor tweaks here. The fact that after you use the special ability, that's when you gain his damage reduction. You do not gain any natural damage reduction when you're in his normal form. Like, he's literally, like, most of the time you're just a 2.5 Fighter Captain, but, you know, when you do use the special, you go to a 4 times. And also the thing with Gear 4 is after those 3 turns have expired, you get a lot of debuffs. So that was one of the big drawbacks, and I mean, personally for me, I just never thought that Gear 4 was better than Time Skip Luffy. I feel like Free Spirits have always been better than Fighters. But that's just me personally. His special ability is also slightly different as well. The fact that he does a lot more damage to the enemy. He gives you a lot more matching orbs. And there is also the caveat with the fact that after 3 turns, he bind and despairs himself for 7 turns. But with the release of Gear 4 was with the release of 6+ Rayleigh, which kind of helped in that sort of way. You know, they tried to make you use the Rayleigh with this Luffy to help you get rid of the certain debuffs that the Luffy would give you. But that's kind of like what I'm going with here. This brand new Lucci is going to be available in this Sugo Fest as a guaranteed 6+ character. This means that this Lucci character likely will be somewhat similar to his original form. Now, what do I think he's going to be changing? So, I do think he will change his class that he's going to be boosting. I do not think he's going to be a powerhouse booster anymore. At this point in time, looking at what it says in-game, and the fact that a lot of people pointed this out already, the fact that there's going to be a gem pack available with shooter characters, and on that specific listing, it does state that those characters that you get from that gem pack are going to be useful for the 6+ version of V2 Lucci. So, with that in mind, I do think that 6+ Lucci will be a shooter-based captain. Now, what kind of changes should we expect with his captain effect? Obviously, going to be a shooter captain, in my opinion. It could be completely different, but we'll wait and see once the download comes in. I do think he's going to maintain his HP boost. Like, honestly, there isn't really too much that they need to change. If anything, I think the reducing recovery of all characters by 50%, that needs to go. And other than that, I think he's actually pretty fine. Because in terms of damage output, if you guys have ever used V2 Lucci before, in terms of damage, he's actually, like, he's not really lacking in that department. He can output a lot of damage. And obviously the first couple of hits of your chain, only 2.5 and then 2.75 times attack. But after the 2 first hits, you go into 3 times, and then you can stack quite quickly up to 4 times. So I think that in terms of damage output, I don't think he really needs any changes. Obviously, I would like that. I think it'd be amazing if we went even higher in terms of his damage. but that might not be the case. I feel like that he doesn't really need any multiply changes, just scrapping this. Reducing the recovery of all characters is quite annoying, especially when you're running double V2 Lucci, because it reduces by half and then by half again. So technically with double V2 Lucci, you're only getting 25% of your normal recovery. So meat orbs are technically useless, aside from being matching orbs on the original Lucci team with the Zunisha ship, of course. So potentially, with his captain effect, the fact that he's no longer a powerhouse boosting captain, they could scrap this, and potentially, that would be a little bit crazy, but if they made recovery in tandem beneficial for shooter characters, just because of the fact that you don't use Zunisha anymore, that'd be really cool. Not expecting that, but with his captain ability, there really doesn't need to be that much change. Now, in terms of his special ability, this could be quite big. We've already said here, he reduces the defense of all enemies by 80% for 2 turns. I think it would be so good if this character is a self-proccing conditional booster. I would love it if he reduces the defense of all enemies by 80%, maybe for only 1 turn, but he also boosts the attack of your shooters, against reduced defense enemies by 1.75 for 1 turn. So not only do you get the defense reduction, but you get the conditional boost. On top of this, I think it would be amazing if he maintained his AoE damage, maybe even increase it to maybe 60 times, I think that would be a little bit crazy, or maybe make it 50 times that goes through barriers, or maybe they'll make it like a really high multiplier that goes through barriers, but maybe only single target. I think that would be a huge drawback to this character. One of the really good things about V2 Lucci is the fact that he reduces the defense first, and then he does the AoE damage. So I think it would be amazing if he still does maintain the AoE damage, because that is definitely one of the best things about him. On top of this, he changes all orbs to powerhouse to matching, so that obviously would be changed into shooter orbs, of course. And you can see he also recovers 20% of the crew's max HP. So honestly, they might even remove the max HP thing to make room for the boosted attack against reduced defense enemies. I would be completely fine with that, because with this special, you'd get reduced defense with the conditional proc, you'd get AoE damage to those reduced defense enemies, and a full ward of orbs for your shooter team. I think if they made this for V2 Lucci, he would be one of the craziest 6 bosses that we've seen thus far, and it would make a lot of sense considering, on JP specifically, they have had a lot of shooter support recently. I do think this character will be arriving on JP relatively soon, so it would be really interesting to see what they do with V2 Lucci, and I've given my thoughts on what I think V2 Lucci is going to be. So if you guys have any opinions that differ from mine as to what V2 Lucci is going to be, let me know down below in the comments. I'd really be interested to see what you guys think about V2 Lucci and what they can do to kind of improve him or make him different from his original version. So if you guys did enjoy this video, make sure to go ahead and leave a like. As I said before in my previous video about the Gear 4 Sugo, when we get the data download with the Lucci and the new batch, I'll be making another video talking about each individual character, my thoughts and opinions on them, so make sure to stay tuned for that. If you guys want to stay tuned for that, make sure to subscribe and hit that bell notification. I haven't said it much in many videos, but make sure to hit that bell notification so you can be notified when I upload a video. So if you guys did enjoy it, make sure to leave a like. If you want to stay up to date with all the content I post, including more One Piece Treasure Cruise content, make sure to hit the subscribe button down below. But other than that, guys, I'll see you guys within the next video.